Going live. Hi guys, it's Alan. I do need a haircut. I didn't know that. Alan, target individual again, and again talking about this. This is around the 28th or 29th of March, and I'm just realizing it's starting to get nicer outside, staying lighter, but it's just I'm still in this being a TI. Still got the V2K going, voice to skull and synthetic telepathy. They're getting tired of having to deal with me. I can hear it in their voices that they're tired. Me 24/7, but I was tired of living at that directed energy weapon DuPain for 35, 36 years. So it's like, for all those years until about 7 years ago when I started the V2K, I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was, I didn't know if it's like the side pain. It wasn't until I got V2K that I realized, oh, that's what caused it. My doctors didn't. I had a doctor once say something off the cuff like, well, it's not worth me losing my license over. And I didn't know what they were talking about. It's like, well, I was responsible and good with medications and moved to Bend, but then I had no idea. I didn't know at that time I was part of the target individual program. The interesting thing is, even though I had that since I was in high school, the side pain, you just kind of think, well, it's just a natural whatever it is. You certainly at that age don't think, and I never did. I never thought I was part of some government conspiracy or used as a guinea pig. It wasn't until they start doing the V2K through the floorboards, which is literally using scalar waves, microwave radiation, same thing as Havana syndrome that the FBI, CIA people were alleged, having, because there was enough of us out there complaining of the same issues that they had to make an alibi and blame it on Cuba. Call it Havana syndrome. It's Havana, those guys over there did it. But it's weird. You think, well, maybe they'll do it to the really bad people or something, use them. And they used to use prisoners. They might still do it for all we know. It wasn't until some of this, like MK Ultra and the church committee hearings in 1975, 76, that it was found out they were using everyday people to see what drugs were, torture. The Allen Institute at McGill University in Canada, that Ewan Cameron, even though it's Canada, he was the president of the American Psychological Association. And he was even at the Nuremberg, the court trials for the Nazis. So he was there to listen to the Nazis getting condemned for torture and murder, heard all the stuff, and he still left that and went on to torture people at McGill University in Canada. And Ravenswood or Ravenstock, whatever they call it. It was in the Allen Institute in Canada, Ewan McCameron. And it just shows, evidently, if you want to make it, what you really need to do is not be good at your job, but you just need to cover your ass. CYA, cover your ass. Don't worry about right and wrong, evidently. Don't care about if it's good for the Constitution. When you're part of this program, you realize all those people that went to your city hall or went to the church down the street with you, they never cared about it either. They didn't care. They just wanted their pocketbook and impress the people at City Hall, impress the cops, And in my case, I never even had a problem with them. I thought they were probably decent people. I never got in trouble, and I'd certainly never looked for it. But I always thought they were pretty decent. I literally always did. I always thought they were all pretty decent people. People have their problems and issues. Boy, I do need a haircut, don't I? But then they go around as a town and decide to do this, and it's to torture you, try to get you to commit suicide. And the one thing I knew is that in my life, I never, knowingly or intentionally did anything to hurt anybody. So I literally, even if it means patting myself on the back, I never had and I had OCD, so guilt would be an easy thing for me to have if you hurt anybody. But it's kind of like I knew I never hurt anybody, not intentionally or even accidentally. I would be the first, but I just never did. I think I got drunk, and then one time, rather than get in a fight or an argument with a girlfriend over a stupid issue, I decided to go out and have a few drinks, like 9. And it was like 23, 24. And I ended up vomiting, and somebody had to come and give me a lift. Like they had to drive a couple hours. That was the only real bad thing. Instead of getting in an argument at someone at a faraway distance at a cousin's house, I decided to get drunk and sit on it, but then I came back and got sick, and I even gave the people $100, $120. And but they were nice people. It wasn't like they were wonderful. They even gave the money back. They sent it back, but they didn't know me, and so they called somebody and had me. But that was the only bad thing. And even then, I was trying to not cause a fight or an argument. But somebody still had to come out and get me. So that was the only real bad mistake. But I never hurt anybody, stole, and they still did this program to me. And what it was is that the doctors or City Hall, or maybe somebody in City Hall, decides to use some of their innocent civilians. In my case, I was in high school. And Robert Duncan talks about this. They will use a lot of times religious people because they're Christian men. They won't argue or protest too much. It's hard to say because Duncan will say it's across the board, just chance, random. But Julie McKinney said that it's predominantly people who think that you're not Christian enough or not. And it's funny because I went to the library and that's all I did was study books on religion and theology. And part of that is reading atheist books because you want to see what all sides on this, does Jesus exist? The atheist books. And so I got a lot of those books, but also a lot of books at the Christian bookstore. And but then I went to obviously Bible college. So it's hard to say, but I just literally, that was with scrupulosity. It's a form of OCD where you just are always thinking about religion and its relationship with humanism, who's got a better argument on this and that. But when you're raised religious and you do believe in God because of like the fine-tuning design argument or a creator, designer, and you have this directed energy weapon. In my case, nobody told me I was a guinea pig for that. I literally, it's like you think, is this because, like when you're raised religious, you think, is this God hardening the heart like Pharaoh? Or I'm trying to, is it because of my questions and doubts of apologetics and anxiety? I never thought that the people in my small town, Dallas, since I was 7 years old, I was born in Oceanside near Camp Pendleton, but I never had any of this side pain until I was about 15, 16. And it's like when? I never hurt anybody, didn't have enemies, anywhere. And yet this went on. I just figured, well, it's probably something that nobody knows why. It wasn't until V2K coming up through the floorboards, the sounds of somebody's voice, the Alan Frey effect, microwave Frey effect, Frey hearing effect. And knowing there's other groups going to Ella Free's thing in rally in Portland of other target individuals, like, oh shit, I finally got the answer for 35 years. I thought the first thing when you go to heaven and meet God, you're going to ask, what was this pain? What is this pain? Because nobody told me, and it was every second of it was my heart being hardened, or but then I also thought my following or taking it so seriously, the studying of the faith and trying not to do wrong to anybody. I thought, well, maybe that's what did it. The stress of it caused my heart to be hardened or necrotic or side pain to where I needed pain meds. And this is what I wrote when I was 24. All this stuff, my little diary that nobody saw, but it's kind of a mixture of my difficulties of prayer about the self-directed life versus the Christ-directed life, and how, or self-love versus, a love for self versus a love for God. How sometimes faith can be almost masochistic if you're interested in being good and holy, to where it's like there are lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. It's like when you think of the monks, you don't think of people who enjoy a good time. It's like religion has a history of being that way, of being anti-self. In fact, I have a book called The Danger of Self-Love by Paul Brownback. It's written by a Christian, and he shows in the entire book how the self-love Robert Schuller, Joel Osteen movement started because the history of Christianity has a whole history of not promoting that, of not promoting and being against things like self-love and pride and ego, to the point to where it almost can create a person whose conscience is so sensitive that they are literally looking for everything of guilt to, in themselves, and to not have any good feeling or pride. And they feel shitty all the time. And it's like every night becomes the dark night of the soul or something. And when they do this to people, and then they put directed energy weapons, not only creating like a scrupulous conscience about not hurting you, and then give you directed energy weapons for 35 years. And they know I know about it. They know that, this entire thing is about, this was a great thing right here, Just Like Jesus. And it shows from Marlene Winnell's book, Leaving the Fold, how Jesus is right there, and then he must increase, I must decrease. About that famous picture of Jesus and how you're fading away and Jesus is becoming stronger. And it's just all this stuff. My little thing about religion and the good parts, the difficult parts. But I think I let one person, maybe two, look at it. But it was I thought that if other people knew about it, they might get the same thing. I thought the stress of the study, or they might get the same thing. I certainly never thought I was part of some government program of torture. And I don't know if they get life insurance or what, but it shows the people of my conservative, very religious and conservative hometown, Drain the Swamp hometown. They know I know about it now. I went and wrote Dumbass Cops, and I didn't have problems with cops or anybody, but I know that they were part of this. They almost got me, almost. But they know that I know it now, because I had to go to court, and I had to, of course, stay out of problems and trouble, and that wasn't a problem because I never got in trouble. But they do these little things, these little staged events, hoping that you do something to react. But the thing is, when you're part of this directed energy hitting you on the side, and V2K, the truth of the matter is, it kind of numbs your emotions. It hits you in the head, the brain, and the side, your emotions, your normal emotional self, to where you don't feel. Now, I thought that was from dying to self. I thought that was from he must increase, I must decrease. Just the only thing being strong was your beliefs. And, always submitting myself to what you think, or to to the will of God or what you think is the right moral behavior. And then still having questions and doubts and all that. But to think of going through that and being a guinea pig, it's just like, and they know that I know what it is now. I went to the rally in Portland, realized, holy shit, I know what it is now. And I come from a very religious, very evangelical town, conservative Mennonites, Pentecostals, one Catholic church, I think, but it's mainly Protestants, evangelicals. And to think that they went along while they're chanting "Drain the Swamp" with a torture and suicide program, getting money for torture and suicide, to someone like me who's never hurt anybody ever. I mean, if they can do that to me, what are they going to do to you? What are they going to do to your kids? Or they're paving the way for the government they hate so much, the swamp. They're paving a way for them to torture people in the future, innocent people, children, which, according to 60 Minutes, those FBI, CIA people, their kids were getting hit by it too. And still, none of them are willing to admit it. Not in Dallas, not in Salem. Not one of them has said, we didn't think it would go this far. We've had a lot of time to think about it. We've had every day for 6-7 years after you fell out the window to think, what are we doing? Not one of them. We have a conscience and we're trying to be religious or Christian or any of this. We just knew we were getting, none of this. But they want everybody else, when they arrest people for the smoke, they were smoking marijuana. They're torturing people. They are paying people to come in, the handlers that are listening right now. They are paying people to come in every day to torture me and other TIs, and yet they want to lecture people on right and wrong, or what church to go to, or their politics. And then they go from that and they torture people. They go along with paying people to torture somebody, hoping that that person kills themselves. And then they maybe get life insurance money. Stoli, stranger-owned life insurance, or dead peasants' life insurance. And it's kind of like all these people that, I wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders, but after the Democrats did that on Super Tuesday, they sandbagged him and suddenly made it that belief that suddenly overnight, all those votes went to Biden. Now I'm going on a different thing here, but I literally don't believe, if they can do this with voice to skull synthetic telepathy, where they can literally your thoughts. Read them. It sounds nutty as hell, but it's true. If they can do this, it shows they don't care about the Constitution, and they never did. They just care about their money. That's it. Well, 7:30, I got to go. I got to make mom dinner. I'll talk to you guys later.